observed 3 teachers, each with a different outlook on their students, each with a different way of positioning their students. One teacher, a consumer science teacher, positioned her students as crucial to the success of the class. Whether it be as a member of a group holding a role essential to the success of baking, or little individual shout-outs, every student seemed to be fully engaged with a strong desire to participate. She treated her students with respect and showed her confidence in their ability by entrusting them with certain responsibilities. For example, she had papers to pass out to the class, and instead of handing them out on her own, she said to the first student who walked in the classroom, quote, "If you accept the responsibility, I am giving you the important job of making sure everyone gets one of these." In addition, this teacher constantly opened the discussions up to the children. She let them share personal experiences related to the topics, which positioned the students as teachers to their peers, and as full of knowledge and wisdom to share. The students' self-efficacy was clearly raised by their teacher, as they seemed confident in themselves and motivated to work hard. She constructed her students as trustworthy individuals with a lot to offer, and whose ideas were very important to her and the class. The second teacher I observed taught a lower-level math lab, and she looked at the students with the expectancy that they were doing little work, or, if they were doing work, that they were doing it poorly. The math teacher consistently told me in front of students that they would not focus unless her or I were sitting at the table with them to keep them in line. And the students clearly knew this was the expectation, as when the teacher was sitting with them, they would do the work, but when no one was sitting at their table, they did chat or did something else. When the teacher gave back test grades, many of the students received grades that were commonly seen as low, although many of them were excited for these grades. Clearly, they knew that the expectations of them were lower and set lower expectations for themselves because of this. The students were looked at as incapable of producing good work and positioned with a label of being in low math. They were additionally constructed as lacking self-motivation. According to Lesko, there is a social construction that teenagers are thought to be coming of age into adulthood, are controlled by their raging hormones, are peer-oriented, and are determined by their age. The third teacher I worked with clearly knew of the social constructions of teenagers, and she thoroughly thought they were truth. She constantly spoke of them using these socially constructed terms, and she put the students in a position of helplessness and low self-worth. She seemed to characterize students by their class as a whole and their grade, simply by the flaws and never by the strengths. Each time I entered the room, she had some comment on the class coming in. The following are examples of the things she said in front of the students. She tended to drill the rules of the library into the students' head. She constantly reminded them of these rules and was looking for students to not be following them. This was to such a great extent that the children seemed to fear that their every little move would set her off. They seem to have very little free will and choice in a setting in which they would be expected to thrive with individual decision and self-control over their actions. But instead, they were focused on abiding by the rules and staying out of trouble. People tend to be highly influenced on the thoughts of people around them and take what others think about them personally. Often students pick up on the subtle and blunt hints of their teacher's outlook on them, and this can greatly influence their confidence and their own abilities and willingness to learn. When the students are set up in a position to be successful, they work to achieve to this level of success. But when they are put in a position where they are expected to do poorly, they will succumb to this expectation.